Welcome to the deep dive. We take really specific source material today. It's some incredibly detailed gardener's notes, and we pull out the insights that you can use right away.
Exactly. And today we're talking about something called the accidental bonus.
Yes, I love this idea. It's like the knowledge you didn't plan on getting.
Right. The subject that just sort of shows up uninvited, but ends up teaching you some really profound things. We're not looking at formal botany texts here.
Oh, this is pure case study, real-time boots-on-the-ground stuff about watching, failing, and adapting to a very specific environment.
And for you listening, our goal is pretty simple. Take this one gardener's experience, their trial and error, and extract some lessons.
Lessons like, how do you figure out what's wrong in an environment? How do you fix it in maybe 2 steps? And why observation is key even when things seem okay.
So the accidental star today, a plant called Caladium humboldtii, is basically a stowaway.
A stowaway.
It just appeared, sprouting in the pot of another plant. The gardener actually bought a lovely Yellow Mussaenda, Mussaenda flava.
Ah, okay. So it hitched a ride.
It did. And that unexpected little plant is the whole reason we're doing this deep dive.
I really like that. It's like finding hidden features in software you already own. So, okay, let's get into the discovery. It wasn't exactly a grand entrance, I take it.
Oh, definitely not. The notes say it started as just one tiny little sprout, super small, right near the base of the main Mussaenda plant.
Easily missed then. Or mistaken for a weed.
Absolutely. Could have been pulled out without a second thought.
And here's maybe the first big lesson, right? Applies to learning anything new, really. The gardener didn't immediately, overmanage it.
No, exactly. They just kind of let it be, let it grow on its own for a bit, allowed for some passive observation.
Just watching.
Just watching, seeing what this little thing was capable of by itself. And the notes show, even without special care, it showed resilience. It eventually put out multiple stems.
So it proved it wanted to live, basically.
Yeah, it showed its drive, which
Uh-huh.
kind of set the stage for the next phase.
Okay, so surviving in the original pot is one thing, but then the gardener decided to give it its own place.
Right. Time for a permanent home. They chose what probably seemed like a good spot, visible, sunny, out in the front yard.
Uh-oh. I sense trouble brewing.
You sense correctly. This became the first big problem. A pretty spectacular failure, actually.
Okay. What happened? The notes mention wilting.
Repeatedly, dramatically. The notes from this time are quite alarming. And wilting, it's not just looks. It's the plant basically screaming that something is fundamentally wrong with its environment.
So what was wrong? You said it was sunny. Was that the issue? Or something else? It wasn't just one thing.
It wasn't just one thing, no. It was a combination. A bit of a perfect storm, really, when you try to put something where it doesn't belong.
Like what specifically?
Okay, first, the general climate. The front yard had really harsh tropical exposure. Just too intense.
Too much sun, too much heat.
Exactly. And second, critically, the notes mention problems with watering. Either not enough or not consistently enough.
Ah. So under that strong sun, the soil just dried out super fast.
Right, leading to dehydration, heat shock, constant stress for the poor plant.
So those repeated wilting episodes, they were like distress signals. What did the gardener learn from them? What was the diagnosis?
They learned about the plant's core needs, its biological blueprint, if you will. The absolute key discovery, written right there in the notes, was that Caladium humboldtii prefers a microclimate with partial shade.
Partial shade, okay.
So that harsh, full sun in the front yard, it was directly fighting the plant's survival strategy. You can't fix the problem until you know the why.
And the why was shade. It needed shade.
Precisely. Shade dependency.
Which means you can't just will the sun to be less intense. The fix has to be structural, changing the environment.
Exactly right. You have to change the plant's reality. So the gardener moved into what we can call the adaptive management phase.
Okay, what was the big move?
Relocation. That was the major course correction. They moved the plant from that exposed front yard up onto the front yard balcony.
The balcony. So presumably shadier, more protected.
Yes. That immediately provided the crucial relief, a microclimate with more inherent shade, tackling the main stressor, the excessive sun.
Okay, great. Problem 1 solved. But wait, you mentioned the watering issue, too. Moving it doesn't automatically fix how well the pot holds water, especially in the heat, right?
Good point.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. The location changed, but the pot dynamics, the potential for drying out, that was still there.
So did the notes mention a fix for that? The hydration part?
They did, and this is where the second part of the correction comes in. Think of relocation as the big strategic shift.
Okay.
The next step was more tactical. A resource adjustment. They added a saucer.
A saucer underneath the pot.
Yep. A simple bit of hardware. Added a saucer right under the pot.
For listeners maybe not deep into potted plants, why is the saucer such a big deal, especially somewhere hot and dry?
Because it directly fights that rapid moisture loss. Water drains through the pot, right? Without a saucer, especially in heat, it just evaporates or runs off. The saucer catches that excess water. It creates a little reservoir at the base.
Ah, so the soil can wick it back up slowly.
Exactly. It helps the pot better maintain soil moisture, as the notes say. It directly countered that inadequate watering issue. Simple, cheap, effective.
So it's a two-part fix. Structural change, move it to the shade, tactical adjustment, add a saucer for water.
That's the formula. And it worked. The notes confirm, after those changes, the plant started thriving.
That whole sequence diagnosis, major change, then a smaller system fix that feels like a really solid template for problem solving in general.
It really is.
Yeah.
Identify the core issue, make the big pivot, then fine-tune the resources. Success through adaptation.
Here's the story over there. Thriving sounds good, but often solving one problem reveals another, maybe smaller one.
You're absolutely right. Thriving didn't mean the gardener could just forget about it. The new, successful environment, the balcony, introduced its own continuous constraint.
Which was less sun overall.
Precisely. The balcony offered shade, which it needed. But the amount of light and the direction it came from was now much more limited compared to the open yard.
Okay, and how did the plant react to that?
Visibly. You could actually see it. The notes describe the plant developing a really noticeable lean. It was physically stretching its whole body toward the light.
Wow, reaching for energy.
Literally. Reaching for every bit of light it could get. Even though it was generally healthy, it was still communicating this need.
So even in a better state, it required ongoing management, a new routine.
A new manual intervention, yes. The gardener had to start rotating the pot.
Turning it around regularly.
Regularly. It's a simple action, but it shows they understood the trade-off. The balcony was good for shade, but bad for even light distribution.
And the goal of rotating wasn't just cosmetic, right?
No, the notes are specific. It was to counteract this leaning and ensure the stems grow upward evenly. It's about maintaining optimal shape and health within that preferred but light-limited microclimate. It shifted from survival management to optimization management.
Okay, let's zoom out then. Synthesize this whole journey of the accidental caladium. It really feels like a continuous cycle.
It absolutely is. You start with that passive observation, just noticing the little sprout.
Then diagnosis realizing, through the wilting, that it desperately needed shade.
Which leads to major adaptation, the relocation to the balcony, plus the saucer fix for water.
But even that success doesn't end the story. It creates a new need for ongoing, focused adjustment.
The rotation. Managing the consequences of the solution, essentially. Dealing with the limited light.
It really highlights that managing something well, whether it's a plant or a project or anything, isn't about finding one magic bullet solution.
No, it's more about getting good at reading the signals, making adjustments, keeping things aligned, constantly responding to those subtle cues.
So let's leave our listeners with something to think about, building on this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Consider this. The gardener knew the plant preferred partial shade. They deliberately chose a spot with limited light to meet that core need.
Right. The balcony.
But that choice immediately committed them to a long-term manual task, rotating the pot, week after week, potentially.
So the provocative question is, if you understand a subject's or a plant's or maybe even a person's fundamental preference or need.
Yeah, how much ongoing effort are you actually willing to put in to artificially maintain the conditions that support that preference? Especially when maybe a slightly less ideal but much lower maintenance option exists.
That tension between honoring the ideal preference versus accepting the cost of the continuous upkeep required?
Exactly. How much persistence are you willing to commit to maintain that carefully chosen but maybe slightly difficult balance?
That is definitely something to chew on. Think about the compromises and the ongoing tweaks you manage in your own world.
A great place to leave it.
That's all the time we have for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.